Dear friends, good evening from Brussels. We have just finished. At the European Council meeting, we have had a serious discussion on the competitiveness of the European Union. We agree that high energy prices and overly ambitious climate targets put us at a disadvantage when competing with China and others. Despite this, various regulations continue to be approved, such as Repower EU, which will halt all imports of Russian gas into the Union from January 2018. In practice, this will mean the risk of a shortage of this commodity and pressure to further increase its price. Slovakia was right to vote against this ideological document. Obsession with Russia should not lead us to self-harm. Unfortunately, we were unable to block the document with our abstentions, as a qualified majority was sufficient. It was also right that I made the approval of the 19th sanctions package against Russia conditional on the incorporation of our proposals into today's European Council conclusions. This is how we managed to include in the conclusions an instruction for the European Commission to accelerate work on reducing energy prices and to submit relevant proposals as soon as possible. That special attention should be paid to the automotive industry. That the Commission will proceed with a review of various climate protection measures, such as the ban on the sale of cars with combustion engines. This conclusion was recently requested from me by car manufacturers in Slovakia. A revision could be, for example, the continuation of the production of cars with hybrid drive, the mechanism of emission permits for housing and transport, the so-called ETS2. This will, in practice, lead to increased housing and living expenses as such. Together with other countries, we managed to include in the conclusions of the European Council a call on the European Commission to submit a review of the application of this mechanism. The President of the Commission has sent a letter to all prime ministers of the EU member states, setting out the steps that need to be taken to increase competitiveness and achieve ambitious climate targets. It is now up to the prime ministers to ensure that the commitments made by the President of the Commission in this letter do not end up as empty words, but are translated into concrete steps and measures. Dear friends, 27 prime ministers have now agreed that we are in a state of crisis and urgency in terms of competitiveness. We will even have another talent on this topic in February. Regarding this tense atmosphere in the Union, I must therefore return to the statement of the chairman of Progressive Slovakia, Mr. Šimečka, by which he demonstrated that he belongs among the intellectual and professional giants. According to the opposition leader, it is Slovakia, a country with 5.5 million inhabitants, that is dragging down the competitiveness of the entire EU. I almost ran into trouble when he said these words yesterday, about a meter away from me in the parliament. I wonder if he did so because he confused the parliament with a meeting on the street, where they spread all sorts of delusions about Slovakia, how everything is bad, how nothing works. And all this in the spirit of the strategy of progressive Slovakia, that the role of the opposition is to cause harm. I am afraid that the truth is somewhere else, that Mr. Šimečka has no idea, and this incompetence and unpreparedness of his leads him to make statements that declassify him as a person. Slovakia is one of the most open, export-oriented small economies, and that is why we are extremely susceptible to immediately feeling the negative phenomena that occur in the European space, especially in the German economy, connected to the Slovak one by hundreds of German companies, employing 10,000 people. The European economy is not breathing. We are losing competitiveness. We are struggling with high energy prices. We are building climate castles in the air. There is this obsession with Russia, and the war in Ukraine is being dragged on for as long as possible, and young Mr. Šimečka will insist that Slovakia is exactly the global power that is dragging down the competitiveness of the entire European Union with 500 million inhabitants. with the German, Italian, French, or Dutch economy. Simply, bravo, maestro.